Hello and welcome to Resin Crafting with chriscollected, and on today's episode we're going to be doing some experiments with UV resin. We will be using white and pink colorant and using it along with some Pearl EX powders. First up, we are going to apply some of the powder into the mold, so that way the top of the mold will already be painted. I'm going to get into every little crevice to make sure that it is fully covered. I have done this with epoxy resin, and it will stick to the epoxy resin and not stick to your silicone mold. However, I was curious to see if this Reflect Violet and the Shimmering Violet would do that for UV resin as well. So now we're going to apply some of the Shimmering Violet to the smaller bat. Make sure to check out the Unboxing Life video on these molds, and you can see where I got them from. New unboxing videos every Wednesday. Now it's time to get pouring. With UV resin, you do not need to mix it. It already comes pre-mixed. And so all you do is squeeze it out of this little bottle and then put it into a UV lamp and it will harden up. But will all these powders stop it from working completely? That is what today's experiment is all about. What are the limitations of UV resin? One of the perks of UV resin is just how slow you can pour it out. It comes in often these little dropper bottles, and so you can really get precise with it. But like all resin, it will have bubbles on it, so make sure to try to pop those. Next up, we're going to use the pink and white colorant and use it into some pendant molds. I'm trying to find a new lens to make clearer shots. Comment below if you know any type of lenses that I should use. This next experiment is to see what happens when you put colorant on top of UV resin, and can it be mixed into it fully. So I'm going to put one drop of each color and see if I can get them to mix inside of this mold. This one we're going to do with 2 drops, one of pink and one of white, and then the next one will be only of white. I wanted to test to see if they mix or what would be their limitations. It actually turned out very solid in the end. Make sure to stay to the end of the video to see all the demolding pictures. Normally this mold will be used for making pendants, but these were just experiments, so I'm not going to drill into it and actually make them into pendants. In the future, I might use these molds for something like that. So the first experiment, we put the pigment after we put the UV resin. This one, we're going to put the pigment in first, then we're going to go ahead and fill it up with UV resin. Unfortunately, the footage was a little blurry here, so there will not be a second camera. Next up is the gem mold. We are going to do the same technique that we did with the bats and apply the powder straight to the mold. I decided to use multiple different colors That way we would end up with lots of little different gems. I was not sure if this technique was going to work as these pigments are so dark. Nevertheless, that is what today is all about, is experimenting. And I hope to do some more in the future and perfect this technique. First up, I was using Shimmer Violet. Now I am using Reflect Violet. And the third one will be Pink Gold. I buy the Pearl EX powders from Blink Art Store. There are 2 locations in Phoenix, and they also have an online website. Now let's go ahead and double the speed. Camera 2 was a little bit too blurry. Remember, this is the house of improvements, not the house of perfect. I am a one-man company trying to do my best. I always appreciate any comments, suggestions, or inquiries. Thank you so much. Now let's get to pouring. This mold does not have a lot of depth to it. However, there are a lot of little gems, which makes this mold a great value. As with the previous, we're going to go ahead and double the speed. This took me in real time about 4 to 5 minutes to complete. And what I found most challenging about it is that because the mold is so shallow, a lot of the little pieces essentially require 1, maybe 2 drops. And that's about it. And as you've seen on previous videos, I have a problem with overfilling. So this mold was a good experiment for me in not only how to apply powder and pigments, but also how to have nozzle control. I think a lot of these I'm extremely happy with how they turned out. However, I seem to not quite understand UV and its curing time, as a few of these still had bubbles or were not fully cured. Stick around to the end and you can see the photos of what I'm talking about. Just as with all UV resin, you do want to try to pop the bubbles. However, I've looked into other people, and I believe what I should have done is drop it a few times and make sure that the bubbles that were on the bottom escape to the top. Because there were a few that I realized later that just never actually went to the top and therefore never were popped. So we've done several experiments here today, and I wanted to do one last one. This experiment is what happens if once you fill this mold, you can just put powders into it and swirl it around. What will happen? Stick around and find out. First up, I went ahead and filled this entire mold. I made sure to fill it all the way to the top. Next up, I'm going to simply drop powder on top of it, or to flake it on top. I'm not sure if this is the best technique to do this. However, this is ultimately what I wanted, was loose powder on top that I can then use a tool and swirl it in. In the end, I think I might have over swirled it, and so I'm excited to make some more of these, but with less swirls to them. And see, now as you can see, I am taking a little metal tool and going in and moving that pigment all around. I wanted it to kind of give a black hole or a dying sun kind of feel. So the pink is in there to symbolize the light, however, that violet symbolizes the darkness. Like a collapsing star was the idea. However, at this point right here, I believe that's where I should have stopped. I ended up making it very homogeneous, meaning that everything kind of looked the same. And I wish I had left it with more open space. As in the end of the day, it ended up being very solid in purple color. I still like how it turned out though. Now we put it under this UV light that I got from craftkitsune. I hope everyone enjoyed my UV resin experiments. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Now the images are loading. So as you can see here, the sun did turn out very well and the swirls absolutely worked. However, when I turned it upside down, I realized that I had pulled it from its mold too fast and ended up with a problem. Now you can see these two, they turned out, I think, really well. However, ended up with this weird stria on the side, and I don't know why. This one was almost perfect, and I really like how it has a cloudy ghost kind of peel. This one is a similar thing. They turned out really well. However, one did have an air bubble in it. Same thing as these ones. Some of them turned out really well, and some of them had some air bubbles and problems with it. I will continue to improve. Thank you so much, and please consider subscribing. Good day.